Listen to me. You weren't supposed to make it this far. They counted on your silence, bet on your failure, and buried you under the weight of their doubt, betrayal, and indifference. And yet, here you are, breathing, standing, listening. But let's not sugarcoat the truth. You're not here because of luck. You're here because something inside you refused to die. They underestimated you. They broke your trust, stepped over your pain, laughed when you fell. They spoke your name like it was a joke, dismissed your dreams as if they were dust in the wind. They left you stranded, waiting for a helping hand that never came. And for a while, you believed them. You let their words sink into your bones, carried their rejection like a weight chained to your chest, and sat in the darkness, convincing yourself that maybe, just maybe, they were right. That maybe you weren't enough, and that maybe your dreams were foolish. But that's where they messed up, because they thought you would stay there. They thought that silence meant surrender, that your pain meant defeat, that you would break, crumble, disappear, just another name lost to time. But they forgot something. They forgot that some people don't stay broken. Some people learn to sharpen their edges, turn their wounds into weapons, and use the fire inside them to burn down every lie ever told about them. And you are standing at that crossroads right now. Two paths stretch out in front of you. One is easy. Give in, fade into the background, become the shadow of who you were meant to be. But the other, it's the harder road. It demands that you rise, that you fight, that you become the storm they never saw coming. This is the moment that will define you. Because make no mistake, your success is the justice they can't escape. They can run from your voice, but they can't run from the empire you build. They can mock your pain, but they can't ignore your rise. They can pretend you don't exist, but they will feel your presence in every room you walk into. So tell me, what will you choose? Will you let them write the ending of your story? Will you let them win? Will you let their betrayal be the final chapter? Or will you take back the pen, tear apart their lies, and rewrite your destiny with fire and fury? The choice is yours. But if you've made it this far, I already know your answer. Let them watch. Let them doubt. Let them whisper. Because when you rise, when you thrive beyond their wildest fears, the echoes of their underestimation will follow them forever. And that is justice. You don't just carry memories, you carry scars. Not the kind that fade with time, but the kind that dig deep, threading through your bones, whispering in the back of your mind when the night gets too quiet. The kind that never let you forget. Betrayal, humiliation, abandonment. They left their marks on you, didn't they? They swore they had your back, until they didn't. They promised they'd never leave, until they vanished. They said they believed in you, until your dreams started making them uncomfortable. And when you needed them most, they looked away. You stood there, arms outstretched, begging for someone, anyone, to reach back. But all you got was silence. Cold, suffocating silence. And that silence became a voice inside you, a cruel one. It told you that you weren't enough, that you were forgettable, that no one cared whether you made it or not. And maybe, for a while, you believed it. Maybe you started shrinking, making yourself smaller, easier to overlook. Maybe you let yourself become a shadow, quiet, obedient, unseen. Because that was better than the pain of being noticed and ignored. But the worst part? The doubts they planted in you took root. Their words wrapped around your mind like every insult, every dismissal, every time they said, "You'll never be anything." It didn't just sting. It built a prison inside you. And now, every time you try to take a step forward, those chains tighten. What if they're right? What if I'm not strong enough? What if I fail and they get to say, "I told you so"? You hear their voices even when they're not around. You see their smirks even when you close your eyes. You feel their doubt like a weight on your chest, pressing, until it's hard to breathe. And the world, it doesn't make it any easier. Society doesn't give a damn about struggle. It sees the winners and the forgotten and nothing in between. It celebrates the ones who make it and pities, or worse, mocks the ones who don't. They whisper about you when you walk into the room. They look at you like you're wasting your time. They roll their eyes when you talk about your dreams, as if you're delusional for even trying, because to them, you are nothing more than your lowest moment. You are the failure, the one who never had what it takes. It seems every person they outgrew, the one they left behind without a second thought. And the scariest part, you feel it creeping in, this fear of fading away, of waking up one day and realizing that you've been erased, that you exist in the world but not in anyone's mind, that your name, your presence, your very existence means nothing to anyone. That is what they wanted, for you to disappear so they never have to face the truth, that they were wrong about you. That's why they try so hard to keep you down. That's why they dismiss you. That's why they act like you don't matter. Because if you rise, if you prove them wrong, they will have to confront something terrifying. They will have to face the fact that they abandoned you when you were destined for greatness. But hear me now, that fear, that weight, that pain, it is not your end. Because you weren't meant to be forgotten. You weren't meant to stay down. You weren't meant to be their victim. No, you were meant to rise. And when you do, the echoes of their doubt will turn into the screams of their regret. So, tell me, are you ready to break the chains? Because the ones who tried to bury you are about to learn some people don't stay buried. Some people become legends. The nights were the worst. The world quieted, the distractions faded, and all you were left with was the sound of your own thoughts. Loud, relentless, merciless. You lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of every mistake, every failure, every unanswered question pressing down on you like a storm that never ends. The air felt heavier at night, thick with regret, with the echo of voices that once called you friend, family, love, voices that vanished when you needed them most. You questioned everything. Why? Why did they leave? Why weren't you enough? Why did every effort, every sacrifice, every sleepless night amount to nothing? You tried. God knows you tried. You gave them your loyalty, your trust, your time. You gave them everything. And in return, silence, cold, deafening silence. You held it in during the day, walking through life like a ghost, pretending you were fine. But at night, the mask slipped. The tears came, quietly at first, like a whisper, like a wound reopening on its own. Then they came like a flood, like something inside you was breaking apart, piece by piece. You wanted to scream, to let it all out, but what was the point? No one was listening. No one ever was. And that's when the thoughts crept in. Maybe it would be easier to just stop. Stop trying. Stop hoping. Stop believing that tomorrow would be any different. Maybe they were right about you. Maybe you weren't strong enough. Maybe you weren't meant to be more. But then something darker set in. Rage. Because deep down, you knew the truth. This wasn't just about your failures. This wasn't about bad luck or timing. No, they wanted you broken. They needed you to be weak, because your weakness made them feel strong. Your silence made their voices louder. Your suffering made their lives more comfortable. The world thrives on people like you staying down. They profit from your pain. They bet on your destruction. They feed you false promises. I'm here for you. You can always count on me. Lies, all of it. They love you when it's convenient. They cheer for you when you're small enough to not be a threat. But the second you need them, the second you reach out, desperate, drowning, begging for a hand, they vanish. They change the subject. They stop answering your calls. They move on as if you never mattered. And you're left to pick up the pieces alone. Again, and it burns. The betrayal, the loneliness, the realization that no one is coming to save you. The anger builds. Slow at first, then all at once. It wraps around your chest, tight, suffocating, until you want to destroy something, anything, just to make the pain stop. But hear me now, if you stay here, in this pit, they win. If you let this darkness consume you, they get exactly what they wanted. Because that's the thing about pain. It has two paths. It can break you, or it can build you. And I need you to decide, right now, which one it's going to be. Because the ones who left you behind, they think this is the end of your story. They believe you'll fade. Just another name in a long list of forgotten souls. But you were never meant to disappear. And the moment you realize that, the moment you take this pain and turn it into something indestructible, that is the moment the world will have no choice but to remember your name. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to let them be right, or are you going to rise? Because the ones who tried to bury you are about to learn that some things don't stay buried. And perhaps the most important question is, how many are I going to kill before they realize the secret they couldn't punish, that the warrior is the better fighter? Some things come back stronger than ever, and you are one of them. There comes a moment where the fog lifts, where the weight on your chest doesn't feel as heavy, where something inside you shifts. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's not a bolt of lightning or a sudden miracle. It's just clarity. A simple, quiet truth settles into your bones. No one is coming to save you. No Calvary, no hero, no last-minute lifeline. And at first that realization stings. It feels cruel, unfair. You've spent so long waiting for an apology that never came, for someone to notice your struggle, for the world to finally give you a break. But now you see it for what it is. You've been waiting for permission to rise. And that was the real lie. They convinced you that you were nothing. They conditioned you to believe that your worth was dictated by them, by their approval, their validation, their acceptance. But tell me, when did you become their prisoner? When did you let them chain you to their opinions, their expectations, their limits? The truth is, you were never weak. You were just trapped in a lie they built around you. And that lie, that's what kept you down. But now you see it. That's the spark, the first flicker of defiance, the first fight against the narrative they forced you into, and that's when everything changes. Because when you realize that no one is coming, you also realize something far more powerful. That means it's all on you. And that's not a curse. That's freedom. You don't need their validation, you don't need their approval, you don't need their permission to become who you were meant to be. And suddenly the pain that felt like an anchor dragging you down, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a weapon. Every scar on your body, every wound on your soul, every betrayal, every sleepless night, every tear you ever shed, they are not signs of weakness. They are evidence that you survived. And survivors are dangerous. Because survivors don't fear pain. Survivors don't break easily. Survivors don't beg for mercy. They become the storm. And that is what you are about to do. You are done waiting, done apologizing, done shrinking yourself to fit inside their small expectations. You are not their victim. You are the fire they tried to put out, the force they tried to contain, the name they whispered about, fearing the day you'd realize your power. And that day is here. So make a promise to yourself, right now, in this moment. You will never be who they wanted you to be. You will never live by their rules. You will never let their doubts become your truth. From this moment forward, you rise for no one but yourself. And when you do, they will learn what happens when someone they tried to break becomes unstoppable. They wanted you weak. They wanted you small. They wanted you to believe that you couldn't rise above the life they chose for you, as Despo did. And now, after my brother, after all that we have done together, every insult, every dismissal, every act of abandonment, it was all part of their plan. They wanted you to stay silent, to shrink, to accept your place at the bottom. They wanted you to play the victim forever, to drown in their expectations, their judgments, their limitations. But now you're becoming unstoppable. Every blow they landed, every attempt to crush your spirit, every time they told you that you were nothing, all of it is now fuel. Every setback you've faced, every time you've been knocked down, it's only made you stronger, because pain has a way of teaching you lessons no one else can. Every scar is proof that you lived to tell the story. Every rejection is proof that they couldn't hold you back. And now, when they look at you, they don't see the same person they once tried to break. No, now they see someone who is rising, someone who refuses to be silenced, someone who is finally awake. And here's the truth. They can't stop you. They thought they could break you by drowning you in doubt. They thought they could control your path by making you question your worth. But now, you've learned that their opinions were nothing but empty words. You don't need their approval anymore. You don't need to beg for their attention. You don't need their validation to know that you're worthy, because you are enough. You always were. This is the moment when you realize that their doubts, their criticisms, none of it matters anymore. You've outgrown them. You've outgrown the version of yourself they tried to shape. You've outgrown the lies they planted in your mind. You are no longer a prisoner of their expectations. You are no longer a slave to their judgments. And that's when your power becomes undeniable. The power of silence. You don't need to waste words on them anymore. Let your actions speak. Let the life you build, the success you achieve, the legacy you create speak for you. Let them watch as you become everything they said you could never be. Because, make no mistake, they are watching. They can't ignore you anymore. They can't pretend you don't exist. They can't tell themselves that you'll fade away, because you're everywhere now, in the work you do, in the steps you take, in the way you stand taller, walk prouder, shine brighter. You've become the very thing they feared most, the one they tried to bury, but who rose stronger than they ever imagined. And now they are the ones who are afraid. They thought you were weak. They thought you'd crumble under pressure. They thought you'd give up when it got hard. But look at you now. Look at what they created when they tried to break you. Now, they fear you. They fear what you might become. They fear the success that's knocking at your door. They fear the power you've unlocked in yourself, the strength they never knew you had. They thought they knew you. They thought they could predict your downfall, but they didn't see this coming. They didn't see you walking through fire and coming out unscathed. They didn't see you turning every wound into fuel. They didn't see the warrior you've become, and now they're afraid. Because they know, deep down, that you are just getting started, and they can't stop you. There's a moment when the balance of power shifts, when they realize they no longer control your narrative. It's subtle at first. At first, they still see you as the person they tried to suppress. They still believe they have the upper hand. They still think that you're living in the shadow of their judgment, in the aftermath of their doubt. But that's where they're wrong. What they don't see is that while they were busy thinking they had power over you, you were silently rewriting your story. You were crafting your future, brick by brick. And now, the walls they thought they built to keep you down are crumbling beneath your feet. The power that once felt out of reach is now yours. And they are the ones left scrambling. You've become the new version of yourself. Unapologetic, relentless, unstoppable. You've shed the skin of who you used to be. The person they molded into someone small, someone silent, someone who needed them to feel worthy. Now you wear your truth like armor. You wear your strength like a crown. You've become the force they never saw coming. And the truth they feared, it's here. They will regret doubting you. Every laugh they made behind your back, every insult they threw your way, every moment they belittled your dreams, thinking you'd never get there. They will eat their words. They will choke on the arrogance they wore so proudly. Because now, the very success they mocked is staring them in the face, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. They can try to ignore it, they can try to twist the narrative, but they'll never outrun it. Your success is inevitable, it's unstoppable, and now, the panic sets in. They will feel it. The cold realization that you're no longer the person they thought you were, that you've outgrown them, that you've surpassed them in ways they never expected. They will try to downplay your victories, to explain them away as luck or coincidence. But deep down, they know it's not luck. It's you. It's your resilience, your grit, your refusal to stay small. And they know they can't touch that. But here's where it gets really interesting. You don't need their regret. You don't need to seek revenge. You don't need to confront them, rub their faces in your success, or try to prove them wrong. Because your rise, it's the revenge. True justice isn't in tearing them down. True justice is in leaving them behind as you rise. You'll never be the person they expected. You'll never fit into their box. You'll never give them the satisfaction of seeing you crumble. Instead, you'll show them, through your actions, through your unstoppable success, that the best revenge is in your growth. And they will have no choice but to watch. They're watching now, from the sidelines. The very people who once thought they could control you, mold you, break you, they're sitting there, silently, as you rise higher and higher. And with every step you take, with every accomplishment you rack up, their biggest fear is becoming a reality. You don't need them anymore. Their approval, their validation, their presence in your life, it means nothing. You don't need them to survive, to thrive, or to find your place in this world. And that is their greatest nightmare. Because they were so used to being in control. They were so used to defining your worth, to deciding how far you could go, to making you feel small so they could feel big. But now the tables have turned, and they can do nothing but watch as you build the life they tried to take from you. They cannot stop you, and they can never undo the damage they caused. But now, they must live with the weight of their own choices. Because while you've been focused on your growth, they've been focused on you. They've been watching your every move, hoping for a misstep, waiting for the moment when you'll stumble. But it never came. And now, all they have left is regret. They have to sit with the knowledge that they had a chance to be better. They had a chance to treat you with the respect you deserve, to lift you up when you were down, to believe in you when you needed it most. But they chose otherwise. Now, every time they think about you, every time they see your name, every time they hear about your success, they have to live with the truth. They failed to break you. And that's the haunting part. Your success haunts them. It's everywhere now, following them like a shadow. They can't escape it. They can't run from it. Your rise is inescapable. Every moment you move forward is a reminder of their failure, their cruelty, their misjudgment. And here's the beauty of it. You don't even need to be there to make them feel it. You've already won. You don't need to confront them. You don't need to force them to acknowledge your success. Because the ultimate power you've gained lies in your indifference. When you no longer care about their opinions, when you no longer seek their approval, when you no longer feel the need to prove anything to them. That is when you become truly unstoppable. Their punishment isn't in you fighting back. Their punishment is in the fact that you rose without them, and they were powerless to stop you. You've already won. Because every moment of success is a reminder that you weren't the one who failed. They were. And now, you're untouchable. The future is yours. It's not some distant dream anymore. It's here. It's real. It's tangible. You can feel it in every step you take, in every move you make. The world that once tried to bury you, you've just claimed it as your own. You've built yourself from the ground up, from nothing, from the very ashes they thought would consume you. And now there's no stopping you. They tried to make you believe that your future was out of reach. They tried to convince you that you were destined to fail, that you were too broken, too damaged, too small to matter. That last word is a confidence booster. When you're destined to fall, you trust the process to lift you. But look at you now. You are the architect of your own fate. The life they tried to rob from you, you've taken it back, and you've built something far greater than they ever imagined. And here's the truth. They don't matter anymore. Beyond all the revenge, beyond all the payback, beyond the satisfaction of proving them wrong, success is no longer about them. It's about you. It's about the legacy you're creating, the person you're becoming, the world you're shaping with every choice you make. Your journey was never meant to be about getting even, about getting back at those who doubted you. It was always meant to be about owning your purpose. You've outgrown the need for validation. You've outgrown the need to be seen by those who never saw you for who you truly are. Now, every step you take is a step toward your purpose, and every victory is a reflection of your inner strength. The last lesson? Every hardship, every moment of pain, every betrayal, every tear, it was necessary because it made you unbreakable. It forged you into someone who cannot be moved, who cannot be bent, who cannot be broken. The world can throw whatever it wants at you, and it won't matter. You've already been through the fire, and you came out stronger, sharper, and more powerful than ever before. And now, with everything you've learned, with everything you've built, with everything you've overcome, you are ready. So leave them with this. Leave them with the words that will echo in their minds long after you've walked away. I am the storm they couldn't control. I am the fire they tried to put out, and nothing will ever stop. Let them carry that. Let them carry the truth of who you are, because that truth, that power, will live on long after they've disappeared from your story. You've already won, and your legacy, it's just beginning.